Hey guys, my internet's out, so I decided I'm going to record a video guide. And it's going to be a weird one because it's going to be on the topic of FCing, and I'm going to be doing one take. I'm going to try and avoid putting like edits in because it's like more work to get the video ready. And because I don't really have any footage to show, I'm going to be showing some footage of some games I had whilst I was streaming the other day. But yeah, this is going to be on this going to be an FC guide. I probably will stutter because, well, I'm basically recording this lot in one go. So first of all, I think for any new players that are for any like players who want to become an FC that have never done it before, so first of all, it's not for everyone. By that I mean you should only do it if you enjoy it. I mean, by all means, give it a good try. Like, don't say, oh, I've lost my first 4 games FCing, I'm not going to try again. Like, try a bit more. But if you're not enjoying playing Clan Wars or Strongholds because you're FCing, that is a problem. That's when you shouldn't be FCing, basically. Because if you feel like you have to FC, and if you're not enjoying the Battle Wars FCing, you're probably not doing that well as an FC. And the team can tell if you're not enthusiastic about FCing, and it drops morale quite badly. Just seeing me have a terrible moment in this game here. So yeah, I would say that. Second of all, don't expect to win every game. In fact, when you're first starting out, don't expect to win many games, because there's a good chance you're going to be on quite a big loss streak at some point during FCing, which take it from my experience that when you start losing games, you tend to when you start losing loads of games, you tend to not enjoy it anymore. That's part of being an FC. You've got to find your own way of dealing with that. So the best way to look at it is there's no such thing as a bad battle in terms of FCing, because every single battle, and unless you batter a team 15-0 or you get absolutely stomped 15-0, even if you get stomped 15-0, there's always something you can learn from that battle. So by all means, look at your replays, ask for feedback from other players, and yeah, that sort of stuff. Now, the approach to FCing, a lot of FCs tend to have a problem with getting the team to hold comms and behaving themselves. You have to be an authority figure as a field commander, which means you have to make sure the team knows that you're that authority figure. So yeah, you need to assert yourself like in those 15 minutes before the Clan War, or like in the ready up phase for Strongholds. This guide is mostly for Clan Wars, but it goes over some Strongholds as well. So one way of holding comms discipline is assigning people who you want to be speaking in the battle. Like, every FC is different, but my style of FCing is sort of, I want strict comms discipline. I want things said straight to the point. Now, I tend to say, okay, so I want this player talking, I want this player talking, I want this player talking, and I want no one else talking. So that way I don't get too much battle chatter. I can handpick those players I know who can give me the relevant information rather than just give me a large amount of sentences of which there's only 2 words I really needed to know. So that's quite important. Another thing is just like know your players. I mean, quite often in battles, like you might have a wide range of abilities of players. You might have some mediocre players who you probably want to be grouping in like a big group, if I'm going to be honest, where they can be a little bit sort of micro FC'd until they get better. But you might have really good players who want to use their initiative, but they overuse their initiative. That makes sense. So got to strike a balance between that. I mean, I tend to like getting people to, if they're going to use their initiative, I like them to say it on TeamSpeak before they do it. So yeah, that's pretty important. So yeah, we've gone over sort of the mentality of an FC. Now, I'm trying to tiptoe around strategy. I've gone blank there. I might have paused the video. Although I'm not sure if there's much else I need to say. But okay, so as an FC, your team will look up to you to make the decisions. Don't expect people to play their own game at the end. You need to stay FCing right up to the end of the game, even if your team ends up like with the enemy having 12 tanks and you having 4. You need to keep FCing that battle. However, this is just me again. When there's 1 tank left in my team and it's like very few amount of enemies on the enemy team, I tend to not want to speak because I don't want to distract that one player, because at that point it's his game to finish. I can only tell people where to go. I'm not going to try and tell someone how to play the game. So yeah, I would say for strategy, you do need to know your players. You need to know what your team is capable of. You need to know like who's good in what tanks. So like you need to experiment with your players. Don't try this in training rooms. Try these in clan wars. See who's not pushing when you give the command to push. People who are lagging behind. People who aren't covering their teammates. Look for like players who tend to do a lot of damage but tend to not really work that well in a team, and that's quite a bad thing if they can't work in a team. But there are roles such as scouts or TDs, so you've got to know your team, like, and then you've got to think of a strategy for that team. You can't really just say, oh, this is the god strategy on this map. It's only the god strategy if your team knows it and if your team are good at it. For example, if you've got people who are very reluctant to push, and they're very reluctant to push around a corner when you call the push, you might want to think of a more sort of attacking defensive strategy. So whereas you go quite... So I said I would be doing this in one cut. I've had to kind of pause the recording and start again. That's what happens when you get interrupted with recording. Having said that, I'm probably going to edit all of that bit out. But I was talking about attacking defensive strategies. If you've got players who are very reluctant on pushing forward, you need to identify those players who will push forward. Like, you need to identify the best players on your team. And then, like, what you would generally probably try and do at that point is you put the players who are reluctant to go around corners in like heavies, and you go for quite a campy tactic, but you have your best players in mediums, in like a group of mediums that can take out base defense, because like one thing you can do with a team like that is you can camp it quite heavily, get your opponent's push on you, but you have your mediums ready to counterattack and cap out the enemy base. And you can win games like that against teams that are stronger than you, who have just calculated it wrong strategically. There's a series of strategies I think are really good, and these are sort of what some of the top-ish clans tend to do, is they'll send out 2 scouts, like 2 or 3 scouts, and they'll have a big force of just nothing but like heavies and fast heavies, autoloaders, mediums. They will find the enemy push and they will send all their tanks there and counter them. That's a good thing to do if you've got a lot of team players. Like, for instance, if you've got people that can cover each other, people that know how to focus fire. If you're using autoloaders, they need to have good autoload. They have to have good reload management, that sort of thing. And you can even sort of split them into 2 groups. So yeah, you need to know your team, know who's good in what roles. You should always have your scouts being players who volunteer to do the scout role in that game, because you don't want bad scouts, put it that way. You don't want bad scouts at all. Now, as for taking arty in battles, for tier 10 I'd advise, like, there's nothing wrong with taking 1 arty just in case your opponent's doing like a big camp. But if you're doing an aggressive tactic, then figures you probably shouldn't be using that many arty. Because if you take arty, you want that game to be dragged out as long as you can, so that you can get your arty players to work. So yeah, trying to think what else I can add for FCs. Oh yes, like, to practice FC, I'm going to be brutally honest, the only way to practice FC in Clan Wars is by playing Clan Wars as an FC. Or if your clan like structure allows it, see if you can maybe like micro FC. FC one half of the battle while someone else co-FCs the other half. Maybe do it that way. Some people would say strongholds. Now, strongholds are good at practicing that strategy that I said a little bit earlier, which is basically the strategy of you send out 2 scouts and you react to whatever your opponent's doing. Because strongholds, like particularly tier 8s, you can do that strategy as well, and you can practice like taking different responses. So that's all good. And yeah, not much else to say really. Well, I want to say something about the like the pressure of playing Clan Wars against strongholds, but frankly I've got nothing to say. Some people thrive with that pressure, some people don't. You should never overwork yourself as an FC. That's another thing. Yeah, you can tell that the difference between these video guides when I record them in one go, when I do many edits. But yeah, I think I'm gonna end this here. I'm looking to do an artillery video at some point soon. But yeah, so I want this to get to as many people as possible that are interested in FCing and want to give it a go. And I might not have covered everything in this, so what I'm going to say is, if there's something you kind of want to know, I mean, feel free to PM me in game. I mean, my username there. Ignore the blue. That's I'm not even going to explain that. That's bad. It should not be blue. But yeah, basically my my in-game name is the same as my YouTube name, minus the gaming. So it's just Cravone. If you got any questions on FCing, like comment or just PM me in game, as I say. And if you like these videos, I mean, I'm looking for ideas on new guide videos. My next one's going to be an RT guide on playing RT and playing against RT, so that should be good. So yeah, like, comment, subscribe, all that jazz that everyone says. Someone should make like a meme of that. That would be funny. But for now, I will catch you guys later. Thanks for watching. Okay, so that was a complete mess doing it in one go, but hey, I mean it's a video. Something I forgot to mention is map tactic, which is like the link on screen right now. That is an amazing like tool for FCing. You basically create a strategy on it. Like, you can load the World of Tanks maps. You give the link to your clan in the teams, in like whatever voice software you use, and you can go over the strategies on that. You can ping maps, you can like put icons. I'm not going to do a tutorial on map tactic. It's very self-explanatory and easy to work out.